Hi, so we're going to discuss about Vlookup. So I have a more detailed example over here. You can see on the left side that we have the Starbucks menu. I just grabbed, like, you can see a list of espressos over here, tall, grande, venti, and you have a list of prices over here. So we'll be focusing on the espresso section to show you how Vlookup is being used. And you can see over here, like this table. What I did was I simply type all of the values over here, and then we just have an Excel format for this. And for my examples below, I'll be focusing on a tall Americano. So you can see it highlighted over here, and a caramel macchiato that's venti. So that's $4.19. Okay, so for Vlookup, the main purpose of Vlookup is to simply, so from your data table over here, we're going to be looking for the values of Americano tall and caramel macchiato of venti. Okay, so you can see over here, we have first a semi-automated solution. So we're going to use the Vlookup for this one. Okay, Vlookup. And then we're going to point it first to the Americano value. So we're going to look for this value. And then it's asking for the table array. So I'll just drag all the way to the bottom. Okay. And the next is the column index. So which means which column are we looking for the value for? So you can see over here, I've numbered the columns 1, 2, 3, and 4. So for our example over here, we're looking for tall, which is column number 2. So we're going to type in 2. Okay. And then range lookup is true approximate match. This is only like it's only usable for numbers if you want to look for the closest value from a given list of numbers. Okay, but over here we're looking for the exact value of Americano, so we're going to use false over here. So closing this one, you're going to get 2.09. so it's the same as what you can see on the table above. And then we're going to do the same exercise on caramel macchiato. So first, what value you're looking for, so that's caramel macchiato. And then your source of data, which is the entire array. Okay, column index is we're looking for venti, right? So if you look at the column numbers, that's column number 4 over here. So we're going to type in 4. And then range lookup, we always want the exact match. So let's type in false. Okay, so what it's doing right now is it's going through the table, and then it's looking for the value of macchiato, caramel macchiato, and then found it over here. And then since we told it to look at column number 4, it's going to go to column number 4 and then give us back the value of $4.19. Okay. But here's the thing. You might be thinking right now that, hey, look at the formula over here. You can see the 2. And then as for our formula, you can see column number 4, wherein we specified over here. You might be thinking that, hey, how come we didn't use like the values of tall and venti over here? It's like we just hard-coded the column numbers for our Vlookup formula. So what I'm gonna teach you next is a fully automated solution, meaning that we're gonna use the values over here and just create a formula, and then there's no need to hard-code the columns. Okay, so what I did over here is I just created another like a data table over here. But this data table contains the columns of tall, grande, and venti. And then the column numbers are on the right. So you could think of, I just created a transposing of the cells over here. And then now I have tall, grande, venti, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so here's the formula. I'm going to go for Vlookup again. Okay, and then lookup value, it would be the same, Americano. Table array, on the other hand, would still be this source of data. Okay, so it's pretty much the same steps from a while ago. Here's where it changes. The column index number, we're not going to hard code anymore as 2. What we're going to do is actually perform another Vlookup. So if we're going to look over here, our lookup value is going to be tall. Okay, so what you're thinking right now is we want to change the value of tall into column number 2, which brings us to the other table above. So if you go in comma, our source data right now would actually be this one. Okay, so next is column index number. what column number are we getting the data from? Recall that VLOOKUP always numbers the columns from 1 to n. So the first column over here is actually 1, and the second column is actually number 2. Okay, so this is the column that we're after, the 2, 3, and 4. So that's going to be column number 2. Okay, so same thing. We just want in the exact match for this one. Okay, so now we've actually translated tall into the second column. So we just go for, we're now typing back on the outside VLOOKUP formula. So if we go for comma, it's going to ask for the range lookup of the first VLOOKUP. Okay, so let's go for false and let's close it. And you can see over here that it actually got the value of 2.092. And there was no need for us to like hard code the tall column, which is number 2. So what I'm going to do right now is I'll just make, this is the Q3 until 3.5. This is actually the data for the table of tall, grande, and venti. So what I'm going to do is make it hard coded. So once we reuse that formula for the other examples below, we can just copy paste the formula. It's fully automated at this point. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just copy this one now. And you can actually see that there was no need to type the venti column, which is number 4. And it just like pop up automatically. So just to prove that it's working, let's just try it out. Mocha, okay? So what I'll do, I'll copy it first over here. So it's still NA because it can't look for a specific value. And let's just pick a random one. Let's say grande. And you can see it got 3.79, okay, which is actually this value above. So if you want to try it out, let's try venti. And bingo, it got 4.09. And same for tall. And of course, if it's unable to like look for it, let's just type in random value. It becomes NA. So you can see that it's now fully automated. So if I even type right now, let's say espresso tall, and it can find, yeah, it's getting the value 1.69. Okay, so for this Excel spreadsheet, I'm also making it downloadable so that you can see the exact formulas that I used, and you can also fiddle around with it. Okay, another practical application of VLOOKUP is, this is one thing that I personally use a lot, which is comparing lists of values. So I'm actually using the same values from a while ago from the Starbucks example. And if we have two lists, and this is just a simplified example, we're just having less than 10 values for each list. But let's say if you have thousands of items, it's gonna be really hard for you to compare two lists and then see what's different between each of them. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, it's actually VLOOKUP again to the rescue. So let's say I just want to check this value and then compare it against this one. So the goal of this one is just to see is if the steamer value, does it exist in list number 2? Okay. And then column index num, there's only one column in list number 2, which is column number 1. And then always we're using false for an exact match. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm actually making the list number 2 as hard coded so that I can just quickly copy paste the formula below. Okay. So if I copy paste, okay, so let's copy this one. And then I'll just highlight all of the fields here and then paste it. Okay, so you can see over here that steamer is NA, caramel macchiato is NA, espresso max NA. This means that the values, these 3 values, they don't exist in list number 2. So you can see it very quickly without like manually comparing all of them together. VLOOKUP would just compare or search the item for you, and it makes it like quick work for us. So we can do the same thing for this one. So if we go for VLOOKUP, so now we're checking list number 2, does it exist in list number 1? Okay, so I'm clicking on Americano, and then I'll pick this table area over here, and then, well, which column number, which is just one column, and then we just go for the usual false over here. Okay, so that's an exact match. Okay, and then before copy pasting, I'll just hard code these list number 1 fields, and then I'll just copy this one, and let's just drag it all the way down and paste it. Okay, so you can see over here, super coffee does not exist, and then espresso also, it doesn't exist in list number 1. And then what I usually do is I'll just click on the first column, go for filter over here, and if it's a really long list, what I'll do is I'll simply filter it out, and then I'll just leave out an A. And I can see that, okay, these are the items that exist in list number 1, but they're not existing in list number 2. Okay, so let me put that back up. And then I'll also do the same thing in list number 2 and discover that, okay, these are the 2 items that exist in number 2, but they don't exist in list number 1. Hope this can be useful in your everyday work.